Well, I'm excited. Did you get your feedback from the judges?
Yes. And it was I knew what it was going to be. Universally, it was that they wanted me to be leaner, especially like my lower body. And that's generally where I hold more of my fat. And I had been saying that for several weeks, but again, my body just reacted to the similar prep last year very differently than this year. And I think with all of life happening, my hormones were just like so intense this particular round. Like 2 weeks before I was supposed to start prep, I learned that my dog has lung cancer.
Oh,
And then a really close cousin of mine also had lung cancer. Like I found
oh,
the news about the two of them within days of each other. And it was like, okay, do I want to shift this whole thing? And I'm like, okay, like for me, training and the gym is like it's like my anchor, right? So I
yeah.
knew if I had like this hard goal that I would be able to stay steady throughout it. I didn't expect all of the life just continued to life. My cousin got really sick. It was touch and go with my dog at one point. Our vet actually recommended that we let him go in March. And I felt like it wasn't his time. And I talked to him and he's like, Mom, it's not my time. And thankfully, 3 months has passed since that day. And today is like literally 3 months to the day we would have let him go. And he's out in the yard playing with my husband right now.
Oh, thank goodness.
Wow.
Yeah. But within that time, I went to 3 funerals within a 6-week period. Things were ramped up at work. I mean, name it. It was just like
Yeah.
every day, it was like, how bad do you want this? How bad do you want this? Do you really want this? I'm going to toss something else at you and see how you react to it. So it was a
Oh,
very different prep from last year. So my body just reacted differently to some of the same processes.
yeah.
That is, well, I luckily hit the record button. That is quite an opener for this episode. I'm going to bring us on and then dive back into this because I'm
Sure,
already interested. But we
sure.
have Kyma
Yes.
on today's episode of the Vegans Who Live podcast, brought to you by your two favorite vegan podcast hosts. We have Brooke Sellers, aka Miss Meatless Muscle, myself, John Thomas, aka the Bodybuilding Vegan, and wow, Brooke, what a intro story here, because I'm kind of coming into this blind. I know you know Kyma a little bit more than I do, and I'm already excited to get to hear more about your story. But Brooke, you're the one in prep. Does this sound about how preps can go? Like life gets thrown your way?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I mean, you can have the perfect timeline in your head and it does not mean it will work out. I know for me, I wanted to compete this month in June, but now it's looking like July, and it's just yeah, life happens. Like one week I got in a car wreck, and that kind of shook things up. My boyfriend was in the hospital. He had a major heart procedure, and it did not go well. It did not go as planned, so that stressed me out. And yeah, it's just life sometimes. And then travel, of course. Like we had our veg nutrition meetup, which I actually did pretty good during that. But you have water retention and all sorts of things. So it's just prep. Like you can't, have your eyes set on like a particular show. I've learned because anything can happen, and that's kind of what I'm doing this time. I'm just like when I'm ready, I'll get to it and I'll jump in. And I feel a lot more confident doing it that way instead of like making myself go into a show that I may or may not be ready for because it is just life. But yeah, like Kima said, all of these things can impact your look, and people listening may not understand really the science behind that. But a big part of prep is stress management, and not only just the stress from your training and from having very low food, but also life, like work,
Yep.
personal life, relationships. So yeah, you got a lot of challenges thrown your way. But yeah, okay, so you are, and for anyone listening, she is a bikini athlete, like I am. We are in the same division. I'm curious, did you start in bikini? Is that where you wanted to start?
I didn't. So the competing was a bucket list item for me. It was supposed to be one and done. Last year, this year I was going to do a triathlon. Next year I was going to do skydiving. Like I had this whole trajectory that I planned out during COVID. You know, with seeing so many people pass away, I created a bucket list. And one of the bucket list items actually was to just have a six pack, right? Like I wanted to be in the best shape of my life. And for 10 years, I tried to get that with between personal trainers and coaches. None of them were vegan. Like I would say the word vegan and they would like throw their hands up and kind of back away. And so I started to believe that perhaps this was not going to happen. And I joined Jack Vegans, and it happened in 14 months. And I was like, okay, what do I do now? And so there were a few members who competed, and I went to their competitions. I was like, oh, this is cool. I'll throw it on my bucket list. And when I won last year, I won every single category and got my pro card. I was like, oh, okay, this is different. And I loved it. I fell in love with the process. I fell in love with prep. I fell in love with posing. I fell in love with being on stage, like just everything about it. And I was like, okay, I think that this has ignited a passion that I don't know if I think a seed was planted like way back when. I remember being on the line of at a supermarket and seeing in a magazine this nurse who would train at 4 a.m, and she was so fit and she was in her 40s, and I was like, oh, that's really cool, but that could never be me, right? Like I've been told so many times that could never be me. And so to think that, you know, here I am now, I'm just like, okay, let's do this. Let's see how far it goes. And it's been a lot of fun. I've met incredible people along the way. And to think that I now feel like I have like a vegan base, not only in fitness and mentally and physically, but now also in competing, you know, and in actual bodybuilding, is just something that is like the biggest dream to me. I used to be such an alien, the weird one. I was like always the weird one. And I'm just really grateful for social media because it brought me Jack Vegans. It's brought me you guys. It's brought so, and you know, I get more and more people saying, oh, do you know so and so? They also compete. And yeah, it's just been for me, it's like finding purpose. Like I feel so much more comfortable in my body. I knew that, you know, veganism was right for me, but to actually be around like-minded acting people is just incredible, an incredible feeling.
Amazing. Kyma, I hate to break it to you. You said
Yeah.
you used to be the weird one. You're still the weird one. That doesn't nothing wrong with weird, but being vegan and a bodybuilder and a pro,
Yeah.
that is kind of, maybe weird's not the best word, but definitely unique. It's hard to find. And I take pride on being weird myself, but I think you've just found a huge purpose to go along with this. And I think that your story is especially important because now, like it or not, you're a role model. Other people are looking to you, other people are listening to you and seeing what you're able to do. As we were discussing in our last episode, there will be people that get jealous or upset and try and pull you down. But for the most part, I believe with what you're doing, you're helping pave the way. To tie this back into like myself, when I first went to the gym at 15 years old, I was told you can't build any muscle as a vegan. And I didn't know whether or not they were right or wrong at that time. But now you're proving that no matter what age you are, no matter what your background is, no matter if you've tried for 10 years and haven't been able to do it, anybody can do this. If they're willing to put in the work, maybe get some education from a coach. And then really, I think also for you, you're leading and being the change because you're not just what I was for 15 years, a closeted vegan, like somebody who didn't wear the shirts or didn't really promote it on social media. You are now a pro vegan bodybuilder and even came onto this podcast. For those of you listening, her shirt says, "This is what a vegan looks like." And we're just helping destroy stereotypes one after the other right here. I have to ask, Well, I have to ask everybody to go check out your profile. Guys, make sure you go support her. It's at Kyma Ganzer.
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 Ganzer. Yes.
Okay. It'll be in the show notes, but if you're trying
Thank
to
you.
figure out how to get there faster, it's KYMAGANZER. And I ask you to do that because I was shocked. I thought maybe there was a typo. And I know this isn't the only important thing on your page, but it says you're 47. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes, I'll be 48 on November 27th.
Go back in after this, click edit profile, put 32. No one will fight you on that. Like that is incredible. I think that also speaks to veganism and I don't know about competing or bodybuilding, but just fitness in general. So phenomenal job, dude. I am just blown away here. All the way around. I'm appreciative of Brooke because we both have our own networks of people that we're closer with. And now you're in mine. So I'm excited to be more closely following along and learn a little bit more today. Anywho, I've ran my mouth long enough. Brooke, I'm going to throw this one to you.
Yeah, I was telling John, I was like, she is an awesome athlete. You have an amazing transformation. And we have a lot of people who come on this podcast who have been athletes like their whole lives. And although that's very inspirational, I think you will be so relatable to a lot of our female listeners because you had this like insane transformation. And so for you, what kind of like what was the moment that like prompted you like, okay, I need to make a change, like I need to do something different this time?
It was a long journey. So I was on. So unfortunately, I was in a toxic. I know you guys have both talked about this toxic abusive relationship, and the person I was with like literally hated all things vegan, right? And so that was a big issue. And so when I left that relationship, I was on antidepressants and anxiety medication. And I gained 20 pounds in 8 months. I'm 5 feet tall. Okay. So 20 pounds
Wow.
is a lot of freaking weight. Like I looked very different. And for 3 years, I tried everything in my power. I tried raw vegan, raw till 4. I was a fruitarian. I did water fasting. Like I did so many things to try and drop this weight over the course of a few years. And my I decided to, there was a Groupon, like it was in 2012, there was a Groupon for personal training. And I was like, okay, like this is the year that I'm going to get this weight off, right? And I found this great personal training facility. That's actually how I met my husband. And he had someone who was available to talk about nutrition. This was the first time someone had ever talked to me about nutrition in a way like, okay, well, you're vegan, but you could probably still do it. So he didn't have the resources, but I did at that point find a vegan nutritionist, and I lost like 11% body fat that year, got married. It was an amazing journey. And then he said, okay, I think I have this business to meet you. I'm going to sell it. So he sold the business and I went off, and the personal trainer I was working with, he was having some health issues. So he wasn't training anymore at the time. And I kind of like fluttered around and found other personal trainers who just either didn't get the veganism thing or didn't respect the veganism thing. And then I had my nutritionist who would talk to me about certain things like, reading labels and the basic things like that. But she wasn't an athlete. She didn't train. So like there was this like such a big disconnect where I kind of like flipped around and started to go the other way, because at the same time, I was also perimenopausal. For years, we thought that because my mom was on steroids for asthma, that's why she went into early menopause. But perhaps it's hereditary, like she was adopted. So she didn't have a relationship with her biological mom. And so we thought for years that it was something that she was taking, and perhaps it's genetic. But anyway, I started to experience signs of perimenopause and in my late 30s. And by the time I was 41, I was in full menopause, right?
Wow.
Yes. And so the things that had worked for years for me just were no longer working. I started to feel like I was getting a tire around my waist. I was having these hot flashes and these energy surges. And it just became a whole process. And I was actually contemplating going back on medication because with menopause also comes symptoms of, again, anxiety and depression. And as my body is completely what I felt like slipping away from me, of course, that made me more anxious and more depressed. And I happened to, for work, the marketing department asked us to go onto Instagram and to like their content, right? And so I was kind of like on again, off again Instagram for years. So my husband's daughter recommended it to me because she was like, hey, you're vegan. There are other vegans here. Like there's no one around here, but you might find someone online kind of deal. And I liked my work's content, and an ad came up for Jack Vegans with the twins. And I just like instantly knew, like I had been following them for years. I absolutely loved them, had manifested that one day I was going to somehow meet them. And this ad, and I just knew like this was right for me. And I went to my husband and he's like, oh my gosh. I mean, at this point, again, I remember sending him to like Whole Foods to find like all the organic like nectarines. And when I was a fruitarian, like he had been on this journey with me and he's like, dude, how much longer are you going to try this? Like, okay, you're getting older. I know it's kind of hard. He's older than I am. And he's like, I know it's hard to kind of understand and accept, but you're getting older. Maybe you just need bigger clothes, like it's okay. I still love you. Da 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 da. And I'm like, no, this is not okay. Like, I know I'm fully capable of being in better shape. And I feel like this is it. And so it started out as like a 30-day trial run, and it just really hit. And fast forward to today, and I joined Jack Vegans in September 2021.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We had Eileen on, and our episode with her was amazing. One of our favorites. She's truly a very special individual. I love that you shared your struggle with hormones, because that's something I've been really, really passionate about since I've had my own hormonal issues. And um, I never really experienced that being in my 20s, but after my first competition season, like John, I ran myself into the ground. I over dieted. My coach over cardioed me, and I had like the blood work of a menopausal woman by the time I was done. No estrogen, no testosterone. I had hypothyroidism, high cortisol. I mean, you name it. And like I finally got to experience what like my clients and like older women struggle with. Like I was doing 15,000 steps a day, eating 1,400 calories, and I gained 30 pounds like it was nobody's business. And I was working my ass off, and I was eating so clean. And I would like go to doctors, and doctors would tell me, well, you're fine. Your blood work looks normal. You're in the normal range. You just need to eat cleaner and move more. And I'm like, well, I don't know how much more I can do. Like, are you kidding me? And I've thought about posting a rant on this, because I keep seeing on social media lately, like a lot of these people are kind of demonizing hormones as an excuse as to why people are not in shape. And they'll say things like, is it really your hormones, or are you just not in a calorie deficit? Look, a calorie deficit, if your hormones aren't functioning properly, if you have no hormones, forget it. It's like calorie deficit is not the end all be all. And it's easy to say that if you're not a woman who hasn't been through it. But truly, you have to have your body in balance to get results. That is very important. And like my gut as well, like my gut and my hormones were off. If you don't have an efficient gut, efficient hormones, you're not going to get to your weight loss goals. So I think that's very important. I'm so glad that you shared that. Would you have any advice or maybe things that worked for you, or did you change your approach as you began a fitness journey later in life compared to what you did when you were young? Like, how did it differ for you? What did you do differently?
Many of the things that, the two of you have talked about in the podcast in terms of the importance of protein, right? So I had been vegan for a long time, but none of my personal trainers or coaches in the past had talked about macros. And if they did, it was like a very specific thing, like I remember receiving a meal plan from a coach who at the time he wasn't vegan, he's vegan now. And so he identified like a handful of things for protein, but they weren't things that I really didn't eat. My husband has a soy sensitivity, so I didn't cook with a lot of tofu or tempeh or anything like that. It's obviously grown a lot since then, but for me, honing on the nutritional aspect of the approach was everything. I mean, it was literally like a light bulb clicked. And the cool thing about the Jack Vegans program is that it wasn't like you have to eat this, and that. Like the meal plans I had before, like it was specific food. So I would spend all this time and all this money making this exact recipe, right? And first of all, it would taste like crap, right? So totally wasn't sustainable, right? And then I would find myself with like all these ingredients that I don't necessarily eat. I was like cooking. My husband doesn't like really cook. So I was like cooking my stuff and cooking his stuff and really not enjoying my stuff. So it wasn't sustainable. I didn't have anyone. There was no accountability. It was just kind of like, here's your plan. Okay, we'll talk in 6 weeks. And I need a lot more support than that. The accountability is big for me. The understanding the macros was big for me. The accountability was big for me. The community was big for me. And I would say for me, the nutritional dial-in was just as important as the mindset dial-in. I had no idea that I was like angry at the world when I first started. And there were so many things that I was holding on to that I think that naturally created, this stress factor, this cortisol and me holding on to weight. And so it wasn't, in fact, it wasn't until I would have one-on-one with Eileen's, and I call them like sprinkle gold sessions, because she would help me to look at things in a different perspective. And by the end of the session, I wouldn't necessarily be angry at this person or this situation. And I took a lot of my control back that I feel like I may have given away and have been used to giving that power to someone else. Especially I was in the relationship I mentioned to you was 11 years. So like over the course of 11 years, it was like chip away from this self-esteem. And so for me, taking a lot of that power back and that control back and understanding the macros and the nutrition as well as the mindset, like, hey, I can do this. And fortunately, my husband is supportive of the vegan lifestyle. So all of those things coming into place really clicked for me. And within 14 months, I had hit my goal that I had been trying to get to for 10 years. So for me, it was nutrition and mindset. Huge.
Huge. I wanna go back to my previous statement, the weird statement. I think it's weird that people still think it's normal to eat dead body parts. I think that's weird. I don't think vegans are weird. I think vegans appear weird to the rest of the world. So that's, I guess, what I was getting at before. And I think something that I'm realizing, even kind of in real time, is yes, a coach is very important for the nutritional guidance, the physical training guidance, this is how you get ready for stage guidance, all those things, if those are your goals. I think what I and probably anyone else probably under realize the importance of is the community aspect. And by going vegan and being public about it, we are weird to 99% of the world. Maybe 1% more is just like, okay, I'm not vegan, but you're still cool. 98% of the world thinks we're very weird. And So even if it's just your coach, because I've realized this now thinking about it as you're speaking, like a lot of my clients, I'm probably one of the only vegans that they talk to on a regular basis. They're the only vegan in their family or the only vegan that they know in their city.
Mhm.
And so I think that that is one other aspect of being in this relationship with a coach and having a coach in the vegan space, not just a regular coach, but a vegan coach if you're vegan, that really does a lot for people's mental health. Like you said, those gold sessions, getting to check in with your coach and yes, get the information that you need for your goals, but also to be like, hey, we're weird together. We're not weird alone. You know, we live in this very weird world, and to have that support, I think is huge. And that is one other thing I wanted to relate back to. You mentioned social media. So many people talk poorly about it. I know Brooke and I were just talking about getting a lot of trolls and haters, and that happens. But the friends, I mean, I literally know you, Kyma, now through social media, and I know Brooke through social media. I met my life partner through Facebook dating, and my best two friends and business partners through Instagram. Like, social media is what you make it. And I think when we live in this world where we're maybe 1%, it's going to be hard to find the 1% unless everybody wears a vegan shirt and really screams it from the rooftops. It's going to be hard to find it in your city. So it's important, I think, to use this tool alongside the coaching to build that community for yourself. So anyways, that was my ramble, but I was just thinking about all that as you were sharing a little bit more about your story.
Yeah, and not all vegan communities are the same. I mean, I've been in a number of different I thought vegans were universally healthy, and way back before Instagram and possibly before Facebook, there was this something called Meetup, right? I don't know if you've ever heard
Yeah.
of it, but I know you guys are younger. There were these like meetup groups, and I was this new vegan, and I was like, all right, I'm going to meet some other vegans. And so we meet at a restaurant, and everything on the table is freaking fried. Everything. They ordered everything in advance, and it was just kind of like, it wasn't a potluck, but it was just like, hey, come and contribute what you can, and we'll all eat. And so many of them, like, no offense, they were obese, and there was just a ton of fried food. And someone said something about nooch, and I was like, what's nooch? And they were like, you're vegan and you've never heard of what nooch is? Like, I just felt like I was like, okay, I thought I was an alien before, and I thought if I just found other like-minded other vegans, I would not feel like this alien. But I walked out of that meetup like, what in the world? I'm like, okay, So I was with the junk food vegans and the raw vegans and the raw tofu vegans, like, and the angry vegans. I've been to a number of protests, and I was like, oh my gosh, my husband's like, why do you watch this crap? I wouldn't be able to sleep at night with like some of the images that would be like shown or shared or whatever. And so not all vegan communities are the same. So to find like-minded, fit vegans, not only physically, but like the desire to be mentally fit and positive, and to see brighter things in life is definitely unique as well.
Yeah, I think that's huge. And I love that you brought up, you kind of like have two pillars with what made the biggest difference for you with this fitness journey. One was nutrition, and then one was the mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is so underrated too. And I know, there's this little like quote, little meme that goes around on social media every now and again. And it's like, if you can drink all your water and work out and eat the macros, but if you're not dealing with the shit in your head, then you're really not as healthy as you think you are. And I used to be like, oh yeah, that's really good. But then I experienced myself, and like similar to you, I had, I'd gone through a very abusive relationship. It was like the most traumatic year of my life. Came home, moved back in with my parents. And then that's when I started competing. And I was on this high. I like loved it. It was like the best year of my life. And then it was all over, and it was post show. And then bam, it hit me like a ton of bricks. And that's when I had those hormone issues, my gut issues. And I truly feel yes, there were a lot of things that caused that because I didn't work with a vegan coach and I had a lot of issues with my diet, but I also feel like my trauma manifested into disease because I buried it all deep down and I just fell in love with bodybuilding and just immersed myself in this like new passion, and I didn't deal with any of that. And then I had to deal with it. And so I feel like that's a huge thing for people too, is like truly to be really healthy. It's more than just working out. It's more than just nutrition. It's also your mindset and your mental health. And yeah, not just taking medications, not just meditating, all of those things, but like how you talk to yourself, how you heal with your trauma, your perspective on the world, how you treat other people, how you treat animals, how how you conduct yourself and value yourself, I think is huge. And that is such a huge shift in a journey. So I think anybody feeling stuck, if you're feeling stuck in your fitness journey, I think these are some really important things for you to look at. Look at your mental health, look at things that may be unresolved trauma, and make sure that you're healing mentally too.
Yeah. I think it's called the shortest way to say everything what Brooke said is the inner work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was going to jump in earlier when the opening of this episode, Kyma, you experienced quite a bit of unexpected life events during your prep. And I was resonating a lot with that because you're kind of like, how bad do I want this? And for my last prep in 2023, off the top of my head, I had my dad diagnosed with cancer. He passed away during the prep. I ended a serious, over a year-long relationship. I moved from Gainesville to Tampa. I moved from a house in Tampa to an apartment in Tampa. I had a undiagnosed tumor on my chest that they thought might be cancerous, and then I had that removed while I was awake, my choice, and got burned on a separate area accidentally by the surgeon during that. That's off the top of my head what I can recall happening in that single prep. And I didn't miss a day of cardio. I didn't miss a single meal. I ate meal number 3, 15 minutes after my dad passed, in the room with him. And it was the same as you. It's like, I wanted it that bad. And I framed it any way that I could. Like, my dad would want me to hit my goals, even if that means eating in the hospital room right here. Like, but after that prep, I don't think I even cried breaking up with the partner that I had been with for over a year, because I was so dead set on, I've got a goal, I've got a mission, I got clients. I was busy. And then after prep, all those inner work things that I had kind of been like, I'll deal with that later. Also, thanks to a few mushroom trips, all of it came flooding back, and I got to process it later. But I think that's what a lot of people do, is they, especially busy people, they're just putting off what they need to work on. And so I encourage my clients. I have a client right now dealing with a lot of stuff at home, like family issues. And it's like, I'll support you either way as your coach. Like, if you need to just go for this show no matter what and deal with this stuff later, that's fine. Or if you'd rather slow down and deal with it now, that's okay too. But I think there is something admirable about, like you said, like, how bad do I want this? I'm going to do it. And I think that is kind of what sets us apart as bodybuilders, because same as Brooke has dealt with in this prep, like, we all deal with shit. Life happens whether or not you're in prep. And so it's I think for the most part, the people that are cut out for this, truly cut out for it, they'll kind of find a way. But I also think it definitely is important to do in the off season, or whenever there is time, to do those reflections and inner work that Brooke was just mentioning. Otherwise, I think it will manifest in other ways, as Brooke mentioned. Like, if you don't take care of yourself and make time for these things, they will come back. They'll find a way to come back if you push them down the road. But anyways, I just wanted to say I related with you with the passing of I believe it was a cousin.
Yes.
Yeah. So it can be a lot.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with your perseverance because you handled a lot of challenges during this prep, and this was your first pro show, correct?
Absolutely. Yes. First brush. I'm like, no, 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 no. Hold on. Hold on. Just wait a few months. And it was just like issue after issue after issue after issue. I was like, okay, all right. This is a test. This is a test. I'm gonna
Yes.
pass this. I'm gonna pass this test. I'm gonna still freaking give it my all and completely kick ass. I didn't miss any of my nutrition. I didn't miss any of my cardio, any of my training. I mean, I went to 3 funerals in 3 different states within 6 weeks, New York, South Carolina, Connecticut. And I communicated with family. I was so much more communicative about like what was important to me around this prep than I had ever been before. In the past, my mom would say, no, stay with Aunt Gladys, blah, 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 blah. And I called my mom and I said, no, I have an Airbnb. It's near a gym. I called the gym in advance. I made sure that I was able to just walk in and get a day pass. I trained before the funeral. Like people knew not to reach out to me, that I wasn't going to come by and have the breakfast and the chat. I showed up when I needed to. I had all of my food with me. And there were a lot less questions than there were last year. And a lot of it also had to do with, just me letting people know in advance that this is a non-negotiable for me. It wasn't a question. This is what I'm going to do, and I will meet you there.
I love
I have
that.
to
You're a
s-
true athlete.
yeah.
Seriously. I will say this though. I know there's probably people listening and they probably feel like, oh my God, like these people are crazy. Like, what the heck? But I think all three of us are similar in that I know for me, like when I think about that situation you just described, like having my Airbnb, like having everything carefully planned out, having my food, like that instantly like makes me relax. Like I'm instantly like at ease. But if everything was like up in the air and like I had nothing planned, I had no idea where a gym was, I was staying with someone and I was like on their schedule and I would be like panicking. Like, so everyone's different. And I know for like me, and I know you guys are probably the same way, it sounds like that gives me a lot of peace. Like control the controllables. I always love that phrase because we can't control everything in life. We can't control when people get sick. We can't control things that happen to us, but there are things that we can control. And I feel like that gives us a lot of peace. So do you feel that way with prep? Like you feel like you're in control and it gives you a lot of.
Absolutely. Far more than if I wasn't in prep. Just going to South Carolina, for example. I mean, my family, they are from a small town called Orangeburg, South Carolina. I'm talking when I walked into the place for the repast, I'm talking fried chicken, fried pork chops, fried this, like a whole bunch of Yiddish. And I don't know if I would have been prepared nutritionally the same way. I may have been a little more lax about it if I wasn't in prep. Whereas because I was in prep, not only was I prepared, but I literally had everything already weighed, measured, and packaged. So it could be turnkey while I was there. And then I had a just in case backup.
That is awesome.
Which worked out well because I got bumped on my flight back and ended up having to spend an extra night over. And I was like, all right, bet I'm ready. This is it. Right. So if I wasn't in prep, I may have just said, oh, let's see what I find when I'm down there. Oh, it's kind of cool to go supermarket surfing, which I do personally enjoy, just to see what is vegan at different supermarkets in different towns. But I don't know if I would have had everything already measured and weighed out, and probably would have run into a number of challenges because like the Airbnb didn't have the toaster oven that I thought it had. And this place was closed and I didn't have to worry about any of that because I had it all with me.
I think prep teaches us how to advocate for ourselves because no bodybuilder can get through a prep without advocating for themselves. And a lot of people are taught that advocating for yourself is selfish. And I don't think that it's selfish. I think selfish would be like you forgot your food, so you stole food from somebody. That's selfish. But saying, hey, I'm not going to eat at the family dinner, but I'm going to come see you guys. I'm going to have my own food. That's not selfish. That's advocating for you and finding a way to make things work in congruence with your goals. And I think also being vegan, same thing. You have to advocate. I mean, we're advocating for the animals, but through ourselves. Like, oh, hey, I'm going to come hang out with you guys, but I'm not going to eat that because I don't want to kill animals. Even if you don't say it that way, I don't eat that because I'm vegan. Some people might take that as selfish, but that's their own issue. I think it is further learning how to advocate for yourself and get the really big goals in your life accomplished. And anybody that wants to be sitting in the seat that Kyma's in, you're going to have to learn how to do that. And I think it's a skill that's not taught to us as much from most parents. It's more of like fit in, do the things that everybody else are doing, be normal, don't be weird. But I think it's really important. It's a skill that can be flexed, and I resonate with what Brooke said. There's a lot of me. I got all of my stuff and then a backup just in case. And sometimes though, I think the next skill to this, like, be prepared, control the controllables, but also lean into the universe when things don't go the way you want. Like for me, for example, I was really excited to train yesterday, but the day before I had a basic emergency dental implant extracted and a new one put in. They're like, no gym for 3 days. And I was like, I really wanted to work out tomorrow. And they're like, well, you get to put your feet up and relax. I'm like, no, I work a 14-hour day on the days I don't go to the gym, and I work a 12-hour day on the days that I do. So I was looking forward to that. But you know what? I had a jam-packed 14-hour day yesterday, and I looked at Allie. I'm like, I don't know, my girlfriend. I don't know when I would have had a moment to go to the gym. And she's like, maybe you weren't supposed to go. I'm like, no. I should have pushed my clients off and been a little late on my replies and still worked out. But you're right. Like maybe the universe needed me to take a day to get caught up on a few projects. And in those moments, it's really hard when you've prepared and everything's been laid out and you've already called the gym and you've got your intra workout. Hopefully you haven't taken your pre-workout, but you were going to go.
Yeah.
And then the universe is like, you can't. And then at those times, like, as soon as the dentist told me that you can't train for 3 days, I was like, all right, I don't know what the universe has in store for me, but something else is coming. Something else, some space just got made. And whether that's a breakup, really hard one, death of a parent. But I will say this, like, my dad taught me a lot of lessons and I didn't teach them to other people. But now every chance I get, I'll say something like, this too shall pass, or you'll figure it out. You always do, because those were lessons he gave me. And it's like, he's still here and speaking as long as I'm doing it for him. So I almost in some ways have a better relationship with my dad now because all the bullshit, all the little things are gone. And that's what I mean is like, how can you twist this to work for you? If something is taken from you, it's making space for something else. And it might be hard to figure that out at the moment. Of course, control the controllables along the way. But I think the next step is just kind of accepting and embracing whatever the universe throws your way. Because clearly, as all three of us have experienced, there is no seamless prep. There's something, some challenge gets thrown your way. And anybody that's on stage doesn't get to speak about all that they went through. They just get to show off their body. It's a little bit two-dimensional. But anybody that's gotten to the stage has definitely been through some shit. There's no way you get up there unless you've really wanted to and worked to get there, both during the prep and all of the life before. But anyways, sorry, getting long-winded here. But I think.
One thing I wanted to mention about you, I believe, I may be wrong, but I believe I found your profile through Reddit, and I was fascinated with your prep protocol. Because you don't do any cardio, you just do steps, right?
So I'll do 80 minutes of cardio for the week, right? So that's like anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes over the course of 4 or 5 days. So yes, very minimal cardio, not none, but very, very minimal. A lot more steps. Yes.
I'm thinking like 80 minutes a day. Okay, yeah, that's regular cardio.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's like normal in the bodybuilding world.
That wouldn't be sustainable for me.
Yeah, and so I remember reading like your week to week protocol, and I know like you started at, I think, something at like 15,000 steps, and then you were at like 20,000. I think at the end you were at like 25,000, right?
Yes, I got capped at 25,000. For me, in managing anxiety and depression, for me, walking has been a phenomenal outlet. Like if I have a really intense meeting or something going on, it just helps to regulate me, right? So I found myself walking a lot more than my coaches wanted me to. And I got capped. I got capped at 25,000. But yeah, I've gone as much as like 35,000 before.
That is so funny. And here I am having to like make people do 7,000 and like they're like you can only do 25,000, okay? Like don't go to 30. That is crazy. So you do the actually scheduled cardio just to get your heart rate up then?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I've
Awesome.
done
That's
minutes throughout, and it was the same for my last year prep, where I was a little lighter on stage than this year. But I've, added some muscle. But yeah, it was 80 minutes last year as well. So capped at 80 minutes each prep so far.
I think
Might
that's
be a little
incredibly
different
healthy.
this time. But yeah, for me, I found that it just allows me to really, really give it my all in training, right? And so
Mhm.
that's where we do the damage and the I remember um in between, was it, no, maybe it was the year before, I did like a 5K, and I was surprised to see how much a 5K, that's not that long, right? Training for a 5K, that's not like a whole bunch, right? But I was surprised to see how much it impacted my ability to really go to failure, to push myself in the gym, even if it was a couple of days after the run or whatever the case may be. And so my coach asked me, like, hey, I know you're really enjoying this running thing, but what is your priority right now? Do you want to actually train to be in a competition? Or do you want to do the whole triathlon thing and do the running thing and the ton of cardio thing? Like we can work with you, but we'll really need to identify which goal we have in mind. And that's when, after my last 5K, is when I said, okay. And I went into prep maybe like a couple months after that.
That's how you know the difference between a good coach and a great coach. A good coach would say, "Hey, all this running is messing up your training. I don't think you should do it." A great coach would be like, "Let's clarify your priorities because we can do one or the other." And I think that what I try to voice with my clients, because some of them are like, "Oh, I really want to do the high intensity interval training, or I want to do CrossFit." Like I had a client, I love the drive. They're like, "I want to do CrossFit at the gym Monday through Friday in the mornings. Can you write me a 5-day split to do in the evenings?" And I'm like, I could, but not going to do it because we need to clarify like what's most important to you. I know there's community in CrossFit. There's a lot of functional movement in CrossFit, but we have 5 or 6 allowance chips per week that we can use for intense training. CrossFit counts as one, running or stair climbing counts as one, and weightlifting counts as one. Where do you want to spend them? And they're like, "Oh, I want to lift 3 days a week and I want to do CrossFit 2 days a week." I'm like, "Perfect, we can do that." But as you were saying, it's a lot to just try and do even a 5K. For people that don't know, that's a 3.1 mile run. That can be really demanding. It's almost like a medium sized leg day, I would say, as far as recovery goes. Maybe not as hard as a full out leg day, but enough to impact it. Um, Further going back to just the steps, I haven't had access to a treadmill like in where I'm staying because I'm staying in Airbnbs. So kind of done a little self experiment. I'm down like 10 pounds in the last 2 months through just diet and steps. I'll get anywhere from usually 12 to like 22,000 steps a day, which for me at 250 pounds, that's a decent number. But like you said, I can go get 22,000 steps and smash a leg day tomorrow. No problem. Man, I'll hit better numbers. I'll still be able to progress in the gym. And so, I think that this is going to be for those people that have flexible careers or just the ability to get up and walk for 30 minutes, take a 30-minute lunch break, walk 30 minutes after while training, like get their cardio through steps. I think it's a better way. So it's really cool that we have some real world data from you showing that it works so well and even getting up to your 25,000 cap. That's a lot of steps. That's
Yeah.
12
A lot.
miles.
Yes, I have so I'm sitting now, but I have a standing desk, a walking pad. I rarely sit. I've rarely sat for the past uh, 4 years at this point. So I'm pretty much walking for most of the day. And if I haven't hit my steps by the evening, my husband has so graciously allowed us to have a treadmill in our TV room as well. We used to cuddle and watch TV in the evening, but that went out the door probably a couple years ago. And I just walk. I just walk. So he's watching and he's cuddling with the with the fur babies, and I'm finishing up my steps. Occasionally, I'll be done in advance. But again, it brings me a lot of mental and physical peace just to move my body sometimes. And sometimes I'll just walk just after a really intense day. And this year has been full of a lot of intense days.
Yeah,
That
walking
is,
is so underrated for
yeah.
mental health. I was just telling a client that this week. She was like, I'm really tired, but I still have more steps to get in. Should I go walk? I said, look, you're never going to regret going on a walk. You're only going to feel better. So just go do it. It's so beneficial.
Shout
Absolutely.
out to your husband for supporting this as well.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah, I really like that. I think maybe Allie and I should just get a pair of treadmills so we could walk together. We would definitely do that. Walk and watch a show. I've seen two things on Instagram. I have no idea if either of them are true. One, somebody said it's been proven that you can walk off a bad attitude or a bad event faster than you can get through it talking in therapy. And I'm like, I don't know if it's true, but I would say it's probably close enough. Like, go for a walk and talk through it, like if you need to. The other one is, and I don't know if this is true or not, that
Mhm.
humans are designed to solve problems at 3 miles an hour. I don't know if that's true or not, but I feel like like often going on walks where my hands are full and I can't be on my phone,
Yeah.
I have some really great ideas.
Okay.
Business, clients, coaching, whatever. Like, so
Mhm.
I fully resonate with you here. And I think this should be a movement, a literal
I've
metaphorical.
sorted out a lot walking. People have come to me and said, "Oh, how are you so upbeat?" And this is not. And I've recommend they go just for like a 20-minute walk, listen to something exciting, something stimulating, or call someone that, that they want to connect with. And it's so medicinal for me.
I have an internal meeting with my team in 30 minutes. I've decided I'm going to take that one on a walk. We'll
Yeah,
walk and plan together. um,
I have a
all
lot
right.
of things while I'm walking.
Yeah. With that, Kyma, we are pretty much running up on time here. I've
Okay.
dropped your Instagram. We'll put that below. If anybody else wants to reach out to you, is that the best way, or any other places you want to plug? Or I think you do
Sure.
your own coaching, so please plug
Yes,
yourself away.
absolutely. My Instagram handle is Kyma Ganzer. It's KYMAGANZER. I'm very excited about foraying into other sources, but for now, my main source of contact is Instagram, and I'm just really excited to connect to other like-minded people or people who are interested in what we do. It's been an amazing journey for me, and I definitely feel like I'm experiencing the life of Benjamin Button. Life has just gotten so much better and better from year to year, the more that I've tapped into the vegans who lift lifestyle.
I love that.
Aw. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank
Everybody, make sure go to follow her, support her, use social media for what it's meant for, creating awesome connections with awesome people. This has been another, in my opinion, phenomenal episode of the Vegans Who Live podcast. Make sure you guys share this to at least one friend. If you got anything good out of this, walk and share this with a friend. And we will see you guys next time. Have the best day ever. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Vegans Who Live podcast. Please, please, please support us by taking care of our show sponsors. They are a huge part of our success. They take great care of us. First, we have Green Bites Go. You can use code #VegansWhoLive to save 25% off your order. That is the biggest deal they give literally anywhere.
And we also want to give a special shout out to our supplement sponsor, Veg Nutrition. And you guys can use code VEGANSWHOLIVE to save on your order. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure to like and subscribe so that you don't miss any other episodes.